next day, moving on, going into the next round. And but just reflecting, watching the film from yesterday's game, as we said yesterday, really good in all three phases. The other thing that you guys know we highlight is the hidden yardage battle. That was really positive for us. The turnovers are big in that hidden yardage battle. The net difference on kickoffs and net yardage on punt, with the way Rigo was punting the ball, the way our coverage units were covering. So really good day in hidden yardage, really to highlight, something that's we can continue to build on. So, but we got to get better. I mean, it's amazing. This game is so funny. You go through a game and you win by that margin of points. And of course you feel good about the victory, but then you watch the film and you say, okay, we got good players. We did a lot of good things, but there's so much room to get better, and we must and have to get better. So we'll work at that this week. A couple injury updates for you. Michael Pittman did during the game suffer a lower leg injury that worsened later last night, and so there's a chance he's gonna miss some time. Rock will be back at practice this week. We'll evaluate him. I'm not sure status as we go, but at some point he'll be back to practice this week, and we'll see, and we'll be optimistic, and hopefully we can get him going. And then Trey Burton and Sheldon Day, same thing. They're eligible to come back. We'll get them back at practice, evaluate how they're doing, and make the roster decisions from there.
All right, Andrew Walker.
Hey, Coach. So this is maybe one of those more simple questions. Maybe explain it to me like I'm 5 type of things. But why is yards per attempt so important to your staff, and what makes Phillip so good at getting a high number? Pretty much every game, every season, he's pretty much right up there.
The yards. There's 2 yards per attempt stats. Without trying to give you too lengthy of an answer, one includes sacks, like when you look at the league wide thing, and then there's a quarterback one that is just pure, that doesn't take into the sacks, but it's a combination of both. It factors in a little bit completion percentage, but it also factors in chunk plays. So that's both about how efficient you are. So it's about efficiency in that it factors in completion percentage to some degree, but it's also about chunk plays. And we know how important that is in the course of a game.
George Bremer.
Coach, I know that you have a good relationship with Nick Foles. What is it about him that allows him to do things like you saw on Sunday, coming off the bench cold and leading these comebacks so regularly?
Nick is about as unflappable of a person as I've ever been around. I mean, he's a very unique player in that regard. Extremely talented. He's a big time passer. I mean, this guy he just has this knack for making big plays that it's like few I've ever seen. And then he has this knack for coming up big in big moments. In the biggest moments, that's usually when he's at his best. So, the utmost respect for him as a player, and then personally, you're close with these guys, and obviously real close with Nick personally as well. So, this guy, he's a stud, man. This guy's a stud player. We'll have our hands full this week, but confident in our team. Our defense is playing good right now, and this will be a good challenge for us.
Mike Chappell. Chap, you there?
I think you might have froze out, Matt.
Okay, let's go Kevin Bowen.
Frank, this is probably a question more for Flus, but I remember earlier in the year he talked about doing some things differently on third down this season. What were those conversations like in the off season of why changing things up on third down?
Yeah, just a couple things I think that we've done differently on defense on third down this year. He's continued to add to the pressure package. Flus, I think, is really creative and studies that. I know everybody does, but you got to experiment with things, and he's experimented with a lot of things in the training camp reps that we've had, and what fits us in our scheme, what fits us with our players. So I think he's done a good job there. But then we've also, Kevin, there's some coverages that we've more emphasized this year on third down. a few coverages that we didn't play as much in the past 2 years that we've been here that have been highlighted maybe a little bit more this year to date. Now every game's a new game, so but that's the way I see it so far.
And then just a quick follow-up. You mentioned last week kind of still debating on Paris and surgery. Does he need surgery? And are you going to officially rule him out for the year? What's kind of the update there?
No, we're not going to officially rule him out for the year. And as far as the first question, as far as surgery, I don't know, Matt, where are we at on that as far as making any announcement?
I'll get an update for you, Kevin. All right, Phil B.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you about your special teamers. I mean, I think we've seen Sanchez look good before, but it seems like he's evolved and is even better. And then what's your assessment on your rookie kicker Blankenship? I know perfection is the expectation. 8 of 10 with 2 off the upright. How do you feel about that?
Well, first, your first question with Rigo. Rigo was really top notch. He's been that way. It's funny, this week in practice, he had an unbelievable week of practice. And well, his punter, what does that look like? When you see what he's doing in practice, it was just phenomenal. The way he's hitting the ball, how accurate he is, how explosive his leg is, like he can put it anywhere he wants to. He's just really talented, and he's just so talented. So could not be happier with, and then he's just such a great teammate. So that's really good for us. As far as rod and kicking, 8 out of 10 with a couple off the upright. I mean, you're right. Perfection is the standard. That's always what you want. You're not happy with any miss, but you realize, he's making good progress. I feel good about, his development, and, we want to make every kick. So we'll keep striving to do that.
Thank you, Coach.
Jim Aiello.
Hey, Frank, I was just curious about, again, maybe this is a better question for Matt Eberflus, but do you guys count safeties on both ends as turnovers when you guys are kind of tallying those?
No, they are not counted as turnovers.
Can I ask why? Just because, the team does get the ball. I don't know. It's just I had a fan ask, and I thought it was a good question.
Yeah, no, so it is a good question. There's just the way the league rules the stats, I guess, as far, that's more of a league question. That's more of a league question than anything else.
Jake Arthur. Jake, you there? Jake Arthur? There you go.
Yep, sorry here. Hey, Coach. I was wondering about Jordan Wilkins. He's never really been plan A, but it kind of epitomizes that prepare as a starter mantra, and he produces pretty much every time he's out there. What kind of player and teammate do you guys have in Jordan?
We love Jordan. We loved him from day one. I think he's a really talented runner. Like you said, he's never been the guy. But I can just tell you that literally Chris and I have had so many conversations about him. Last year he would have got a few opportunities when Marlon was hurt, but then he also got hurt. And I think, that's when Jonathan Williams came in and stepped in and had a couple 100-yard games that Jordan missed out on that opportunity there. But we got a lot of confidence in him. He's running the ball really well. We made it a point. We made a conscious effort to make sure he had his handful of carries in there this week, and we'll continue to mix those guys up.
Mike Wells.
Frank, I want to ask you about your defense. When you look at the numbers as far as yards per game, I think you guys are almost 100, giving up 100 yards less than the second place team in the league. Why do you think you guys have been able to take the league defensively so far through the first 3 weeks?
I mean, I don't want to discount what our defense has done, because I think they're playing really good, and I think we have really good players. But I have to think about this. Like, let's just say if we were on the other side of the equation here, if the number was a lot higher than we wanted, I would say to you, well, it's only a small sample size. So in order to be fair, obviously I'm fired up about our defense. I think we're going to play great the whole year. But I'm not, it's a small sample size. We still have a lot to prove. And I believe, we believe in our guys. We believe we're going we're going to be a top-notch defense when it's all said and done after the season's over. But it's a small sample size. We shouldn't be getting too giddy about how many yards ahead we are in the stats of as far as everybody else. We got a lot of good teams coming in that we'll be facing. We got to play our best football ahead of us, but really happy with the way they're playing so far.
Why, when you say just a small, why not get excited over it? I mean, you say it's just a small sample size. How much better can you get? Do you believe then? In other words,
I think there's a lot of ways to get better. There's times where they're moving the ball on us. Yesterday at times we've got to get off the field. It's not just about yards. There's a lot of factors that go into it, right? I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that. That's probably the fairest way I know I'm not giving you much, Mike. My apologies for not giving you more than that. So it is a great question, but that's what I got for you right now.
No problem.
Joel Erickson.
Frank, this wasn't going to be my question, but it is now. There's a report that Michael Pittman has compartment leg syndrome and had surgery last night, and it's going to be out until after the bye. Is that true or untrue?
Yes, that's true. No time frame. We're not comfortable giving any time frame yet. But he did have surgery last night.
All right, Zach Keefe.
Frank, I wanted to ask you about AlieCox, and I'm curious, as a play caller, when you got here in 2018, what did you see in him, and how much untapped potential did you kind of envision? And then how have you seen that develop in 2 years? I mean, this is a guy that didn't play college football and didn't even play a lot of high school football.
Yeah, I mean, really, not that he wants to take all the credit, but really the bulk of the credit here goes to Chris Ballard on this one. I mean, Chris has been, like with the scouts, they're all in it together, but sometimes everybody has their own guy, or a guy they really especially believe in. And for Mo, that was Chris Ballard. I mean, Chris has really believed in Mo from day one. He just saw something in him. When I got here, what I saw in Mo was sometimes the basketball guys, aren't that physical. And it was very apparent to me from day one that, listen, does Mo have the physicality to play the tight end position? That was evident to me from the very start. So then it was just going to be a question of, okay, well, does he have the skill? Because he obviously has great skill as a former basketball player, but the skill to play the tight end position in route running and specifically in route running. And that's something that he's really developed. When we first got here, it was just very average. And right now, I just love the way Mo is running his routes. Feel like he's worked very hard at that. So I just think he needs to keep developing.
When did you start to see him? When did you start to see him as almost like a vertical threat? I mean, you're throwing down the field to him consistently.
I think we saw a little bit, even going back to 18, there were a couple plays he made down the field. So, with that size and strength, that he is going to be a vertical threat. But, we had Ebron, and Ebron was the guy, and he was the feature guy. So sometimes this is what it takes, the opportunity, Ebron's not here, Jack gets hurt, Mo gets featured, and he shines. That's what it takes sometimes.
All right, two more. Stephen Holder.
Frank, kind of a two-part question. The first is, I know it's not your favorite topic, but on this Pittman thing, compartment syndrome is kind of serious. Was this, I don't know, how did this crop up? Did this happen after you left the stadium? Do you know any details in that regard? And then secondly, your wide receiver depth is taking some hits here. How do you feel, basically, about that position?
Yeah, no, so I don't know a whole lot about it other than what I know about it is, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying this, but Nick Sirianni had it. And if you've ever seen, and then he ended up, and then Nick ended up getting infected. after he had surgery on it, got infected and made it a whole lot worse. So, yeah, no, it's a big deal. But how it happened, Stephen, is, in the game, he had the lower leg injury. He had the injury there, whatever happens when you get that, but the symptoms don't crop up until later. And so later last night, the symptoms, started cropping up in a more severe nature. And, and he called the trainers called the doctors. They met right away. They got him over there and met with them and determined that, you got to relieve the pressure. So I don't know any more of the details about the surgery. Other than that, I know it went well. I know we're very optimistic, about him healing and getting back before too long, but the exact timetable, just not ready to put a number of weeks on that yet.
All right, last one, Wish TV.
Coach, on a lighter note, I wanted to see if you were willing to reveal the identity of the man who made you your mask yesterday.
There you go.
Give him a little love today. I know people are still talking about your face shield.
Okay, well, yeah, that is a little bit of a lighter note. Yeah, no, it was. I was thankful. It was Lee from Sunny USA. I did find that out. So, yeah, I appreciate it. Just ironic that we got a package here at the office, and looked at it and said, "Oh, just keep this around here. Maybe we want to try this out one time." So thank you to Lee from Sunny USA.